Okay. Okay. Yep. I think we are live. We are good to go. Let me just get my notes here. I didn't think I was going to do this again, but I wanted to do it again. So let's see. What are we doing today? Today we have a free gift. We have the Trauma Bond self check. Okay. That's completely free for you guys. All you have to do is send me a direct message. Do not put it here because it disappears as soon as I come off of the live. And I'm going to send everyone, just like I did this afternoon. I think we're getting closer to this goal that we started yesterday of helping 100 empaths heal. 100 empaths get through the trauma bond. And I think I gave out about, 40 of these today. So this is a good start. We're definitely getting someplace. Tonight we're going to talk about why the truth. You would think it would be common sense, but why the truth actually sets survivors free. That's very important. It's very important because this is like the most major step ever in your healing journey, and it's not going to take place. I'm not trying to be Dan Downer, but it's not going to take place until you consciously decide that you're just going to stop making excuses for this person, this demon in your life. And I was thinking about it today while I was off. I was actually watching the Y Files. This was like my relaxing time. I was watching the Y Files, and I'm thinking about how this is kind of like that whole thing that he talks about, a conspiracy, because when you look at it from the outside looking in, it's just so unbelievable. You feel like as you're talking about it, that you're talking about some tinfoil hat stuff. How can a person be this evil? Well, it's not so much about proving to the world um, that you were dealing with a demon the whole time, and I think a lot of us get trapped up in it. It's about proving it to yourself. It's about accepting the truth of what you felt emotionally in that relationship. Let me put this up because I think it gives you the capability to message me so that I can send you this. I guess we're going to call it a free gift because it is completely free. It really is completely free. But while I was creating it in the wee hours of the morning, I said to myself, I said, this might actually help someone. This might help someone figure out, am I really in a trauma bond? You I think when we look at the word trauma bond, we go really, there's like so many layers to it. And this is why radical acceptance is so very important because it's just an insane amount of layers. You've got to accept the fact that the person that you met in the beginning, this was all the stage was being set. When you were going through the devaluation stage, when you started to wonder, why is this person acting this way? Why are they shifting into this basically a demon? Why are they becoming this person now? I thought this person loved me. I thought this person, we were a team, and then, after the discard, you're like, well, I spent all this time with this person and now they're going around acting as if I didn't exist. The basic three stages: love bomb, devaluation, discard slash reverse discard. We all go through it. We all go through it, and since this is the now movement, no other way but forward. No other way but forward. We have to stop, I guess, discussing everything because we're trying to make sense of it. That's why we go into these lives, we join these groups, we join all these places because we're trying to make sense of something that just seems so bat-ish crazy. Why did this happen to me? Why did this person take my love and trust and treat me in such a way? And just look at the word discard. How do we get there? How do we get there from this person being your everything, your soulmate? You're bending over backwards. You're trying to make this work to where they actually act as if you did not take up space in this reality. Sometimes, hey, Dawn Marie, what's going on? What's going on? You know, how do we get here? How do we find ourselves in this position? And that question just circles in our minds. And then we're thinking about this person. Then we're saying to ourselves, well, maybe they have changed. Maybe this show, this next performance that they're putting on via social media, and to anybody that will listen, thank you for the share, Dawn Marie. They're putting on this show to anybody that is within viewing range, that they have changed. And the most hurtful part is they try to make everybody believe that it was your fault. They want everybody to think that you were the unstable one. You were the one with the disorder. Sometimes they'll tell people that you were the narcissist, but that does not erase what you literally felt, and you felt it. You felt it. So where are we at now? You felt it enough that you planned out your escape plan. You exited. I don't know, you went into a shelter, you went to stay with family and friends, you got your own place, you escaped. You're acting like you're on the run from the feds. Because that's how intense it is. The whole thing was intense, but it's intense now. You're on the lam, buddy. You're getting away from this narcissist. But why late at night you find yourself thinking about them? That doesn't feel right. You're waking up going, no, 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 no. That's not what I want. I don't want to think about this person. I don't want this person on my mind. They hurt me so bad. I was in constant emotional confusion the whole time, or at least most of the time that I was with them. Because they're going to make sure during the phase one, during the love bombing stage, they're going to make sure that you think that they're your soulmate. It's an act. Not only are you seeing pieces of yourself, but you're seeing pieces of empaths that they destroyed before you came along. They're taking all the things that have worked for them throughout the decades. They are sharpening this into a very fine pointed edge to hook you in. And once they got you hooked, you know that feeling. You know that feeling, that feeling when late at night you're talking to them and you're telling them everything, all of your dreams, all the things that you want to do, and the fact that you're so happy that they are there in your life right now. Because as an empath, you are finally seen. You're not running around putting out other people's fires. Now, someone seems to be interested. Dawn Marie has it right, witches and warlocks. Now you find someone that sees you. You feel you are finally seen after all of these years of being there for everybody else. This person is right here in front of you saying, I'm there for you. I see you. I understand you. And here you are, hours on the phone. It's like your first boyfriend or girlfriend that you had in junior high school or high school. You're on the phone for hours. But yet and still, in hindsight, you realize that you know nothing about this person, nothing past surface level, nothing that would actually bolster the fact that this person is embedded into this thing, this new thing that you are trying to grow as much as you are. In hindsight, after the disco, we find we really don't know too much about this person. Because this is part of their plan, the data mining. You realize it when you get out, especially during the devaluation stage, because everything that you told them in confidence, everything that you told them during those late night talks, they're using against you now. They have become weapons. Full metal jacket slugs, you just put on the table next to a clip and you said, you know what? I trust you. You're the one that I've been looking for most of my life. Not knowing that as soon as you turned your back or walked out the room, they're loading up that clip because they know in their mind, and they do this on purpose. I don't know how many times I can say this. They do this on purpose. They're loading up that clip because they're saying, I have all the ammunition I need to destroy you. Many of us, we use that word empath, I think, lightly. I don't think we understand just how powerful we are. I don't think we understand how important we are to this reality. I don't think that we truly, fully understand how we inspire others that we do not even know that they are looking at us. I don't think that many of us do not realize that. However, I'm going to be honest with you. The narcissist saw that in you, and that made them hate you. That made them want to destroy you. That made them want to crush you. That made them want to take every little bit of confidence that you had inside of you and just squash it. Because you, just being your authentic self, just being the person that believed in hope, that believed in love, you being that person, they know that they can't be that person. They can't. They don't even know who they are. They don't even, authenticity is not a word that they carry around in their mind because they don't have it. Fractured identity. What you saw before you in the beginning was pieces. It's like a puzzle in a box. When you dump it on the table, what do you have? You have nothing. You don't have the finished product. You just have a bunch of pieces on the table. Nothing more, nothing less. That's what you're dealing with. That's what you dealt with from the beginning. They just slowly took the pieces and created the end result of what they thought that you needed. And they did a grand job. They did a great job. They did, didn't they? They had you fooled. And most of us, especially us New Yorkers, we feel that can't get one over on us. You can't do that slick stuff to us. Many of you feel that way. And now you feel hurt and you feel guilty and you feel shame because you allowed this to happen. But can I ask you a question? In your wildest dreams, and guys, please just send me an email. Okay, this is completely free, and I'm going to send you the Trauma Bond Self Check resource. You know, be honest with yourself. What would have prepared you for this? As an empath, as a regular person, as anybody, what would have possibly prepared you for this? While you're going out there being authentic means that you don't think that there could be something that evil out there. You don't think that there's a person out there that their main goal is to extinguish the light of others for the purpose of keeping the darkness or the shame subdued inside of them. What prepared you? Nothing. You were prime picking. And this is why I tell empaths, I don't even like using the word survivors because I'm going to tell you something. Intermittent supply doesn't go through this. They get the slight manipulation. They get the super quick discard. I'm not talking to you anymore. You're not validating me enough anymore. But the empaths, they dig their hooks into you. They dig their talons into you because you are ambrosia to them. You will give them endless supply. And why will you give them endless supply? It's because your authentic self, the thing inside of you, the greatness inside of you, allows you to love. That magical word, that thing that drives everything in our reality, love. Not hate, Love. Love is what makes everything better. Narcastic says the caviar of supply. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I'm not a big fan of fish eggs, but still, you are spot on. They need your light. See, many of us, as we are in the trauma bond, many of us, we begin to think, I don't know how it happens, it's due to them reprogramming us. We think that we need them. That's why we struggle and suffer during the trauma bond. That's why we think about them. Because they have brainwashed us into thinking that we need them. The greatest lie told to mankind. The most, oh, there could be no greater lie. We didn't need them. They needed us. They needed us to regulate their emotions because emotionally they have the emotional intelligence of a 5-year-old. They needed us to wear us for whatever status that we had. Okay, I'm not a government official, but people see me as a normal human being. They needed us to fall so deeply in love with them so that we would propose to them or allow them to propose to us so that they could be a husband or a wife, and society will say there can't be anything wrong with them. They're normal. This is what normal people do. They wear us like a beard. They have children not to. Basically, when I had my twin boys, when I had my sons, all I said to myself is, I want them to do more than I could ever dream of doing. This is what most parents think when they have children, not the narcissist. Everything is a construct. Everything is either a thing or an object. It's either an object that I can use or it's a thing that I pay no attention to. Yes, they hate us. They hate us. You knew that on the way out. Before you even got to the door, you knew they hated you. You could feel it in the air. It was like walking through molasses. You could feel the hate. You could feel the competition. You could feel them needing always, always to feel superior to you. You knew this. So I bring you back gently, though, gently, very gently. I bring you back to the front of the ranch. Why? Now that you're in this trauma bonding, you know by now it's a real thing. Your nervous system is still skewed. You still can't accept peace. It makes you feel antsy. You can't be alone with your thoughts because if you let your thoughts go too far, guess who comes back into your mind? You're in the trauma bond. You are going through stages of withdrawal. And they are so embedded into your life, into your soul, into your very being that many mental health professionals say it's like stopping the use of an opioid. Isn't that crazy? But yet and still, you can't let go. You still feel pulled. You still want to reach out. You still think that there's hope. Again, this was done on purpose. They knew that this, but then again, you weren't prepared for this. You've probably gone through since you're in high school. You've probably gone through a couple of relationships. You go your separate ways. It didn't work out. You get a little bit of closure. You have that last conversation. You move on. And I get it. This is how normal people about disorders think. Hell, you might yell at each other and get the closure that you need. We're just not compatible. You're not going to get that from the narcissist. Do you know why? It all falls back to the initial thing. Everything, all 3 stages of narcissistic abuse is about the same thing. We can actually take it and compress it into one word. Control. That's all it ever was control. Control of your emotions, control of your finances, control of your very identity. One of the most hurtful things, and guys, please, and thank you for the comments. I appreciate you. I love the fact that we're here. I love the fact that we're having this conversation, because this conversation needs to be had. It needs to be heard by someone who is still walking in circles, pacing around their house, refuses to sleep in their own bed because the memory of this demon they can't shake out of their head. They cannot get this demon out of their head. They're going through the medicine cabinet and they see maybe something that they used and they just freeze. I thought I threw everything away. Why is this still here? And you just freeze. You stop in your tracks like a deer caught in headlights, because the trauma bond is coming back again. It was done on purpose. It was their back door. It was their back door into your life. They knew what they were doing at every stage. When they're doing their little glow up social media posts, it's not done for anything else, but for the hopes that you're still in denial. And you're going to look at it and it's going to hurt you and it's going to control your emotions and it's going to make you feel like, what does this person have that I did not have? I gave everything. I gave my very soul to this. I am a shell of the person that I was before I met them. Look at me today. What the hell happened to me? But you wasn't prepared for this. Who is? Who is? As a child, when you yell out to your caregivers, there's a monster in the closet, there's a monster in the bed, under the bed. You know, who? Hey, an Elf's nightmare. That's right. Never look at their socials. When you call your caregiver as a little child, you're saying, there's a monster, there's something under my bed. Please come help me. Deep down inside, you don't think that when they lift up the covers to look under the bed, that something's going to reach out, grab them, and drag them under your bed. Deep down inside, you know that. But if it does happen, you definitely wasn't prepared. You definitely wasn't prepared. If that was to happen, oh my God, you'd be scarred forever. You'd be done, because you wasn't prepared for that. And it's the same thing with the narcissist at the beginning when you first met them. Again, the techniques that they use. Oh my God, James Bond, I don't think we keep on going through new Bonds, because if the Bond had the skill set that the narcissist had, the mirroring enough. Do you know salesmen are taught to mirror, especially with high ticket items? Okay, they're taught to mirror. They slow down to match your breathing. Seriously, check this out. If you're in the market for a new car, I'm going to give you just like this little thing to where you can see how mirroring happens. Okay, it starts off where they actually take the same stance that you do. Whether you're standing in front of them or you're sitting in the chair, you will find, thank you, Wante, thank you. You will find that they will sit the same way you're sitting. Then you'll see that they will match your breathing pattern. Okay. Then if you're like me, a New Yorker, you use your hands a lot, they will start using those gestures. About halfway through the whole interaction, you'll see that they'll start using phrases. Now, let's amp that up by 10,000%. The narcissist, you will never know, because they are giving you exactly what you need. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be seen. I will never tell another human being that wanting to be seen is a bad thing. We live on a planet with 8 billion people, 8 billion other souls, 8 billion others that want to be seen, that want to be recognized, that want to be loved. So your need to be seen is not the problem. It's the empath in you. It's that special trait that you have. It's that thing that your higher power gave you, because believe it or not, They got something that they need you to do. You don't even know what the hell they need you to do, but there's something that you're put here to do. And along the way, you are filled with not only to be seen, but you want to love people and you want people to feel good. And you want, and Narc says they will try to dress like you. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, they will. So you want to be loved. You want to love others back. You just want everything to be happy. You do deep down inside, because what forged you to be an empath was trauma. And like I always say, you don't want other people to go through that. You want people to feel good, and I get that. But you wasn't prepared that someone was going to use that against you. Someone was going to weaponize that against you. Your ability to love and care once you met the narcissist was literally your downfall. That's why I say there is no way you could have prepared yourself for this. So the first thing you need to do before we go any further into this is stop kicking yourself. Stop blaming yourself. Because I know for a fact if you've made it out all the way out the door, down the stairs, into the car, into the new place, that's what you did. You blamed yourself. You said things to yourself like, why didn't I see this sooner? Why didn't I understand what they were doing to me? Why didn't I leave earlier? Like a long time earlier. Why did I stick around for so long? Those are real questions. Dawn Marie says it had to happen for our spiritual growth. You know what? I agree with you, and I've said this, and thank you for putting that there, Dawn Marie. Let me put this back up for people that would like to get the free resource. I'm going to seriously suggest all you have to do is send me an email, DM me your email address, and after I get off of this live, I will actually send it directly to you. I think it actually has a little mail icon so you can actually do the direct message thing. It says contact me. Um, but yeah, I mean, I get that. It had to happen for our spiritual growth. I tend to not question the universe for its choices. It's been here a lot longer than I have. And I get that. But at the same time, if I had a vote in it, I wouldn't have went through this. I wouldn't have went through the act of, again, I know that I didn't have a choice, but I wouldn't have gone through the act of pouring love into someone that their main intent, their main goal, their main direction was to hurt me. Yes, and I accept that part, Dawn Marie. She says we would not have awakened to the realms. I get that. I get that. But the pain, the pain. It's a lot of pain. And I get it. Many a time, your higher power will actually, as they say, give you the tests before you learn or understand the lesson. Dealing with a narcissist is probably the hardest test that you will have to get through. And many empaths don't survive it. They don't. And I understand God needs the strongest warriors possible on this planet. But that's why I do what I do. Because if I can give you the tools this late in your life to understand what you're going through, to let you actually, Wante says we are being prepared for greater purposes. Stretching does hurt at first. It does. It does. You're so right, Wante. Thank you for putting that there. But yeah, I have to agree because I do think as many empaths that have survived this. I'm not the first, and I'm probably not going to be the last, but I'm going to make sure that I'm going to help somebody else get out. I am. I have examined after this, and you guys are right because there is a purpose to it. Because as an empath, you will examine parts of yourself that you have ignored most of your life. You will go inside with the carpenter's belt and get inside and fix pieces of yourself that you had allowed to stay broken for so long in your life in the need to help others. You will become bigger, better, faster, and stronger. You will be the warrior that your God needs. And that's important Because as we look around us, as we look at the world, as we look at how things are turning around, and I said this earlier, I don't even care what your political affiliation is. I don't care. I don't want to leave this smoldering heap of ashes to my children. I don't. And the narcissist is never, ever going to put in and try to fix it. They're not. We have to always remember that. So if you don't understand why you are an empath, and many of us take a while to wake up to that fact, if you don't understand why you are chosen, definitely takes a little while to figure that out. If you don't understand why you're here, it's because you have a purpose. And what happens is and I never question the universe, but for some strange reason, the narcissist being the flip side of us, these are the demons that are inserted into our lives to make us stronger. Not every soldier makes it through boot camp. They don't. I know. I've been there. I made it out though. I made it out. But there are many people that they're not ready for it. And if you're like me and you signed up when you turned 18, because my dingbat self decided I didn't want to go to college, I didn't want to go to school. Um, But you sign up, and the first go around might not be for you. You might not understand. You might not be able to grasp the concepts because boot camp, or in a sense, it works the same way except the love bombing. You just go straight into devaluation in boot camp. You do. You just straight devaluation. Um, and many people, I had a couple of shipmates. They couldn't take it. 180 out. Didn't even make it to their first duty station because they couldn't take it. Mentally, they weren't ready. And I think the reason why I bring this up is because I say often I've gone through 3 of these encounters. Okay. I didn't understand it the first time. I couldn't grasp it the first time. The second time, I really didn't understand what I was going through and I couldn't grasp it. And the universe, in its great wisdom, decided, like, since you're not getting what I'm trying to get you to understand, let me give you this one. And they reached into the very bowels of hell and found the last one. And oh, yes, I understood. I understood. I understood that evil does exist. Not the evil that we read about in the newspapers, not the evil that highlights the news, the evil that is insidious, the evil that you don't see until it's too late, the evil that you sleep next to. I had to learn that. And many people don't understand this, as much as there are so many conversations going on the interwebs about narcissism. Most people still don't get it. This is evil. This is spiritual warfare. These are dark forces that their only purpose, their only goal while they are on this realm is to extinguish the light of those who are chosen. Thank you, Freebird. Thank you so much for the heart me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And Freebird says, indeed, the narcissistic that's good, nothing on there for us. So we have to, again, radical truth. Even I have moved away from discussing the pain. I have. And I think many of you are ready to move on from discussing the pain because you felt the pain, you experienced the pain, you lived the pain. How does the pain serve you now? How does the pain help you now? How is the pain making you a better person? Now let's alchemize that pain. Let's take it from its evil base and say, I'm not going to deal with the pain. What I'm going to deal with is reigniting my light. Reigniting my light. Because that's what attracted the narcissist to you. If the narcissist could be honest, they would tell you, I was attracted to your light. I couldn't, your light was so bright that I had no choice I had no choice whatsoever but to extinguish it because your light shined upon me and it showed me the things that I've been trying to hide all of my life. So it had to go. During that whole situationship, they were hating you more and more and more. Every accomplishment, everything that you achieved made them hate you more and more and more. There was never, during the, whether you're looking at the love bombing stage, at any stage of this situationship, did the word love enter into their mind, on the side of their mind, around their feet. Nothing. There was no love. If there was love, and I can't even call it that, if it was love, do you know what it was? It was love for the illusion. It was the love for the illusion that they have been projecting all of their life. North's Nightmare says our light disturbs their nervous system. True. I think it disturbs everything about them. It shows them, it shows them in a very forward way that, you don't have to be this evil. You can still enjoy life. All you need to do is deal with that shame. But see, they made this choice at such an early age. Choice. That's the thing that drives everything. My favorite word. We all have choice. And at a very early age, the narcissist made a choice, a very critical choice. They experienced trauma. However, they made a choice that somebody has to pay for this. I'm not going out on my own. Somebody has to pay for this. I experienced this trauma, this thing that hurt me, usually from their caregiver. You know, I just saw a video the other day where they was talking about how sometimes their caregiver will put them in a position, like if they have a large family and they're the oldest, but they're still young, they'll put them in a position to become the caregiver because more than likely the caregiver is toxic themselves. The caregiver is a narcissist. The caregiver wants nothing more than control. So what they do is they put this child. They're not going to let the child be a child. They're going to dump adult responsibilities on this child that is just trying to understand the world. This child is saying, okay, cool, I've got to do my part. I've got to do my part. But yet and still, if the child does one thing wrong, they're treated as if they should have known better. Again, we're dealing with a child. Then when the child is going through emotions, as children do, they're trying to figure out their place in the world. They come to this narcissistic caregiver and they try to find a way to be emotionally safe. And then they soon find out, I was never emotionally safe here. This is where the split becomes. This is that critical moment where empaths are formed. This is the critical moment where narcissists are formed. Like I said, we all come from the same forge. It's just our choice. So as the empath, we decide, this is crap. But at the same time, I don't think anybody should go through this. And that's how they shape their life. They go into the world with caring, love, and compassion. Where is the narcissist? Same dynamics. The same situation. The narcissist looks at their caregiver and says, I see why you are the way that you are. Somebody's got to pay for this. And as Narc's Nightmare Victim World Circuit says, Narc cycle repeats. You can literally find the black sheep of the family, okay, and which is the empath, and you can find in the same dynamic, in the same immediate family, you can find the narcissist. That's what I'm saying. It's the same forge. It's the same exact forge. And You have to understand this is the way our reality works. Choice. We make choices all day long. Let me put this up, guys. Just hit the mail icon, and I'm going to send you this Trauma Bond. Excuse me. The Trauma Bond self check resource. Okay. I'm going to send you this because I think it's important because we have to. Here it is, Sunday night, Monday morning. I don't want someone to be sitting on the edge of their bed saying, why do I still feel like this? Why can't I get this person out of my head? This is completely free. Yeah, you'll look at my other stuff. I have courses, I have all that stuff. If it fits, if you need it, take it. But this is free. This is my gift to you. This is my gift to my fellow empaths to help them figure this out because the confusion, it doesn't suit you. You don't wear the confusion well. You don't. I need you to get back to being that confident person you was before you met that narcissist. And there's no way that you can tell me, oh no, I was never confident. You knew damn good and well you were. Before this show started, before this circus event started, you were confident as hell because that was part of your life. You never needed the narcissist to validate you at all. Be honest, did you? Until you got caught up, until the devaluation started, until you found yourself, strangely enough, asking for their input. Before you met them, I can guarantee you was doing things. You were a go-getter. You were that person that got it done. You were that dependable person. If you said you was going to do something, you did it. Am I lying? If I am, put me right. Maybe I need to go back in the trenches. Because I know for a fact, by the time I had lost so much of my identity, I'm asking my number one hater, because they made it clear that they didn't want me to succeed. They made it clear that they didn't want me to get a win. They made it clear that they didn't want me to make decisions on my own that ultimately would have benefited us both. I'm asking them for their input. How does that make you feel? I know I'm not the only one that did that. I know that for a fact. How did it make you feel the first time you said, why am I asking you? What have it, at the bare minimum, what has proven to me on a logical basis that you are capable of even helping yourself, much less helping me? Think about that for a second. That's how deep the brainwashing goes. That's how deep the manipulation goes. You're looking at a person because while you're having your confidence being eroded, you're starting to see little slivers of what lies behind the mask. And you know that the confidence that they portrayed in the beginning was fake. It was false. So why do you find yourself needing to be validated by them? Out of 3 narcissists, 3, none of them, as far as I'm concerned, was worth the oxygen that they took in. So why would I turn around and ask for their opinion on something that I needed to do? This is the way that we give away our light. This is the way that we turn down the light little by little until there's no more light and we can't even see ourselves. It's so dark inside. We literally can't see ourselves. Victim world circus. Yes, control. Well, inject some self-love and ignore low surface people who only wants to see you fail. Yes. Yes. Thank you for the follow, Good Shepherd. I appreciate you. I'll follow you back right after this live. Victim World Circus says, yes, it's a strategy and fully calculated. Thank you for putting out there. Never think that any stage of this is done by accidents or happenstance or by chance. From the first conversation that you have with this narcissist, everything, the playbook comes right out of their back pocket. They start shuffling through all the other situationships they have gone through, and they literally try to figure out what's going to work best to get you hooked. See, you're hooked the first time that you put your head up on that pillow and say, you know what? I don't know how you got into my life, but I'm so glad you're here. You're done. You are done. And it's crazy, and I'm not smiling to make light of it, but I'm smiling because in hindsight, I was like, wow, wow. So I could go back to New York City and someone could sell me the Brooklyn Bridge because that's what it literally felt like. That is literally what it felt like. Here we are, empaths, super intelligent. Most empaths are super intelligent. We learn new stuff. We do new stuff. We wake up in the morning and say, "Hey, yeah, I want to do that." We are the creators of worthy bucket lists, and we make the damn thing happen. When you think about the person that you called your soulmate, was that the same person that they swore that they were? Victim World says visionaries. Yes, we are. And Dawn Marie says we are under a spell. Yes, we are under a spell. However, the people that gave all their money to Bernie Madoff, they were under a spell too. However, here's the thing. They weren't ready for it yet. They just weren't ready. They weren't prepared. The narcissist knows this. So we look at the narcissist. Let's just say we're dealing with a 40-year-old narcissist. Okay, that's your safe, dating range. Okay, you're talking about a person that has literally been practicing this for at least 30 years. No, I mean literally practicing it, literally taking notes, literally trying to see how far they can go to manipulate people, literally seeing how much they can actually get people to do what they want, literally seeing how they can turn people against each other. They have been practicing this for 30 years. What have you been practicing? You weren't prepared. Dawn Marie says they are skilled manipulators. Yes, they are. You weren't prepared. And Wante says studying us from head to toe. As an empath, you weren't prepared. You weren't. You have the thing that's keeping you trapped right now, if you're still in the trauma bond, is hope. That is what's keeping you trapped right now. Hope. As an empath, hope springs eternal. We hope that this will happen. We hope that this will turn out better. We hope. And they take full advantage of this. They know before they even start, they know. As Narcastic said, we are the caviar of the foods of supply for the narcissist. We are the caviar. When they ran into their first narcissist, when the narcissist ran into their first empath, every little alarm bell went off in their head, and it's like, yay, I need more of these. Because these empaths, Lord, they keep on trying. Lord, they're going to keep on trying to fix this. Much less fix this. These dingbats are going to try to fix me. How many years can I keep this going? And still have oversupply on the side. But you know what? I can get through that too. That's not going to throw up a red flag because they're still trying to circle back to the performance that I gave them in the beginning. You're not prepared for this. Doesn't mean that it's right that you're not prepared. It's like, oh my God. Moneywell, thank you. Thank you so much for joining. And Narcassa says the caviar goldfish. Oh my God. Oh my God. We have to, you know what? I laugh at it, but I know that there's somebody saying right now, why is he laughing at it? Because I have a free resource for you. Send me a direct message. Let me put this thing up again. Find a way, okay, to get this free resource. Because part of being in the trauma bond is denial. Let's be honest here. Because as empaths, we come out the gate feeling strong. We can handle this because we've been handling stuff for other people for most of our lives. So we figure we can handle this. Again, the narcissist plays into this. They play into it. They know. They know they're like, he's gonna keep on trying. She's gonna keep on trying. They're sitting up, it's like they're sitting up in a high chair looking at you saying, you don't see what I'm doing? Oh my God. Here, let me pull out the rug from under you again. That's what they're literally doing. Everything is calculated. Never let anyone tell you who is emotionally hurting you and they're doing it over and over and over again that they don't know what they're doing. Don't let that happen. Don't let people gaslight you into thinking that when they're hurting you and they're hurting you over and over again, that they don't know what they're doing. At some point, they have to be consciously aware of what they are doing. Especially if you want to talk about the fact, this is the most frustrating thing about dealing with a narcissist, you want to talk about the fact that they're hurting you. How is that being received? Is it being received that you're bothering them? Is it being received like you're ruining a perfect day? Is it being received as you're being too emotional? Is it being received as you're unstable? Is it being received as if you're imagining this? So they're telling you to your face that your emotions, your feelings, how you feel, whether it be hurt, happy, or sad, does not mean one damn thing to them. That's essentially what they're doing. But we as the empaths, we say, well, maybe it is a bad time. Okay. When is the perfect time? When is the perfect time? Is it a quarter after 33? Is it 44:30? When is it ever the perfect time to actually speak about what is hurting you or what is making you feel emotionally unsafe in this relationship? What? Someone give me a rational reason besides the house being on fire and you need to get out. When is it not the time for you to speak to the person that supposedly loves you that there is something that is weighing heavy on your mind? When? But yet and still we come into these lives and we go on TikTok and we go on FB and we go on YouTube and we're trying to figure out if we're in a trauma bond. We were in the trauma bond then because we refused to look at the reality of what we were experiencing. We voted no, we're not going to look at this. And do you know why? I don't know how many times I have to say this for people to understand it. And you need to understand it is because you brought into the illusion. It's not your fault. I mean, like I said, decades of practice. But you brought into it, hook, line, and sinker. You brought into an illusion. The person that you saw in the beginning is never coming back because that person never existed. Who goes to the movies and watches a blockbuster movie and it's so cool and then they walk outside thinking it's real? No, you know that you paid your money to get your ticket and to eat your popcorn and to drink your fizzy drink, and you knew that you were being treated to an illusion. The best that Hollywood had to offer, some of your favorite actors, you brought into that. That's what the narcissist was, except there was no ticket involved. And it wasn't going to end. The movie soon turned from a love story into the worst horror story ever. And you keep on grabbing another thing of popcorn and sitting in your seat and letting it play out. And I'm not pointing fingers at you because I did it too. I did it too. See, I'm not here to judge you. Don't get that wrong. Don't get that too. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to let you know that I understand. I literally see you. I literally understand what you feel right now because I went through it. All I want to do is give you the option of taking the ticket that the narcissist actually gave to you, ripping it up, and say, I'm tired of this. I don't want any more of this. I paid to see a love story. I got a freaking horror movie. No, I'm out, son. You and Annabelle can go someplace else. I ain't got time for this. You know what I'm saying? This is all I'm offering you. The thing is, the reason why a lot of why I do this is because, like many empaths, I found myself in a position where I had to say to myself, I got to figure this out on my own. There were resources out there, but a lot of things, like I said, I have a distaste towards the rage content. I it serves its purpose. If that's how you create stuff, if that's how you help people understand what they're going through, cool. But it's not for me. The revenge stuff, the stuff you need to get revenge against the narcissist. I get that. That's a valid. That's a valid. Hey, real recognize real. What's good? What's good? Um, but yeah, so I get that you want revenge. I wanted revenge too. Somebody had to pay for this ish. It's not fair. I didn't deserve it, and I wasn't prepared for it. It's like that Kevin Hart skit. I'm not ready. You know what I'm saying? I'm not ready. What did I just hit? Is it something I'm using mature themes? I didn't say anything. But anyway, I said Kevin Hart and said mature themes. I don't know. We're here to let you know it's okay. We've been there, and here's a roadmap. You can do it. I did. Thank you, Wante. Because that's the goal. That's the goal of the Now movement. I never introduced myself to these lives because I think everybody knows me, which is like so freaking stupid. But I am Minister Robinson. Yes, I am ordained. I actually run a nonprofit in New Jersey. It's called Church of Real Talk. And under that comes aspect of trauma healing, which fits under the Now movement. So NOW is no other way but forward. So this is the Now movement. And this is what we do. Trauma is trauma. We know that being empaths that it hurts. So we know that it hurts. But there comes a point, again, back to what I was saying earlier, where you have to alchemize that pain. And you've got to use it. You have to use it to rebuild your identity. Out of all the things that you lost in this, I mean, even the disrespect, I can live through. Once I accepted radical truth, the disrespect didn't hurt me as much. I actually put it where it belonged. I put it in the bucket it belonged in. I'm dealing with an emotionally dysregulated child. So as long as I sat it in that bucket, I didn't care. But what hurt the most was when I realized that, oh, here comes the hard part. I've got to rebuild my identity. I've got to rebuild the person that existed before I walked into this, before I bought this movie ticket, before I sat down, before I said, okay, they're just showing trailers. Let me go run and get some popcorn. I had to rebuild myself, and that's scary. That's scary for many, especially those of us that are getting up there in the years. We're not 18, 19, 20 in college, just figuring it out. This is real life. This is real life. It's your life. And when you look at the years, and the first thing you say to yourself, I wasted all my years. And that's where that whole revenge thing comes in. You say, I wasted all my years with this person. I could have really went out there and found my true soulmate all the years I wasted with this person. I get that. I really do understand that to a certain extent. But we go back to the most valuable thing that we lost in that situationship. We lost ourselves. We lost our identity. We lost who we were. We lost most of the light that we had. And Wante says, I know that's right, Minister. I'm too old for crap. So glad I found peace. Yeah. But what I want to tell you is whether you spent 5 years with the narcissist, whether you spent 10 years, whether you spent 20 years, whether you spent 30 years, you're on this side of the dirt. Really, I mean, I'm trying not to get flagged further because I already went into adult content. But you're on this side. So you always have the opportunity to do that one thing that drives this universe, that drives this reality. You still can make a choice. You can make that choice to say, I'm going to become the best version of myself, or at least I'm going to reclaim myself to where I was before I met this demon. I'm going to rebuild myself because what was in me, see, you're authentic as an empath. You are authentic. Never, never get that wrong. It didn't go anyplace. If you think your light has been turned out, there's literally an ember with that little orange glow still glowing, waiting for you to fan it, to bring it back up, to come back to being that person, the person that you were always destined to be. This was just an interruption in the journey, and this is why it's so important that you break free from the trauma bond. Because the longer you stay in that dynamic of doubting yourself, no longer believing in yourself, giving all your power to this demon, you're not going to heal. I would love to be able to tell you that there's a workaround. There's no workaround. Trust me, I looked. Hey, listen, the 2 point thing where you take the pencil, you can go this way or you can take the pencil and just go straight through. I tried to go straight through. It didn't work. It didn't work. I had to look at myself as a person. I had to decide that I wanted, as Wante says, I wanted peace. I wanted to be happy again. I was tired of the emotional confusion. If I do find somebody else, I want to feel emotionally safe. I want someone that doesn't feel the need to be in competition with me. I want someone that wants to build with me. I want someone, and this is what I say, I don't know why I say it to them, but I want someone to take over the universe with. I know it's a lofty goal, but that's the way I feel. And yes, I wasted years with this person. I get it. I made a lot of bad choices along the way that I wish I could take back. But I'm here. I made the draft pick. I'm here. I'm above ground. So now I can continue to make those choices. Now I can continue to be the person that the universe needs me to be. I started this off with you were told the greatest lie ever. And Narc Man says it is a healing. It is healing is a slow process. It is. I agree with you. And guys, go ahead and send me your email so I can send you this whole trauma. What the hell just happened? The whole trauma bond self check resource. I mean, here's the deal. A lot of courses that I create, excuse me, a lot of templates that I create, and a lot of them just they're actually they live on my site. A lot of books that I write, a lot of guides that I create. The strange thing is, I realized the other day that at the end of the day, most people know this, but I think they just need to have someone else. I think that's why I like doing lives like this. Is just have someone else say it's okay to accept the fact that it wasn't what you thought it was. And that's what the self check work thing is all about. Is just I think reassuring yourself that no, you're not broken, no, you're not imagining this, and no, you're not being too sensitive. This is really happening to you now. You need to make that choice. If you notice, I never really tell people what to do. I truly believe that it's unfair. I think I was in a live with Nog Talks, and I think we all signed off on the fact that taking choice away from someone else is like the worst thing that you can do. And I never want to be that person. I never want to take away a person's ability to make a choice, the choice that's best for them. Because we actually learn from our choices. Hey, Divine, thank you for joining. I appreciate you. We learn from our choices, and that's how we grow. The narcissist doesn't grow, they're not capable. In order to grow, you've got to be able to reflect. The narcissist can't reflect. That whole, I think it's criterion number three or four, the entitlement thing inside of their brain. They think they're entitled to act the way that they do. They think they're entitled to hurt people. So yeah, I don't want to take away people's choices. And sometimes I say, I'm not here to mess up your relationship. It's not my goal. If you feel that you're happy, if you feel that you're emotionally safe, if you feel that you have a loving, fulfilling, and supportive relationship, maybe you guys need to sit down and talk it out. But let's flip that around. If you don't feel like you're in a loving, fulfilling relationship, if you don't feel emotionally safe, if you don't feel like you can sit down and work the simplest things out, then maybe, just maybe you need to re-examine. But still, the choice is yours. Just like when we knew deep down inside something was wrong. I think I was on Knock Talks Live, and somebody said that people warn you. I remember I got my warning, but after somebody chimed in, I remember I was like, wait, one of their friends warned me. In a roundabout way, they warned me to the fact of, you don't know what you're getting into. And again, we find ourselves in that savior protective mode that we just paid no attention. Um, so yeah, we get the warning and we don't make the choice then, but now it's a brand new day. Now you're starting to understand. Now you've seen through the mask. Now you've been horrified. Now you understand that it was all an act. You just need to stop making excuses for how you're feeling, because at the end of the day, once you stop making excuses for them, once you decide that, you know what, this really was fake. Because everyone that gets on Minister Robinson's live, they say it's fake. Whenever I'm at when I'm at Narcastics live, they say that this is fake. When I'm on Narc Talks live, they say that this is fake. How many times do you need people to say, hey, BKF, how many times do you need people to say that have actually gone through this, that can actually tell you the pattern, that can actually tell you almost word for word what you went through? How long are you going to hold on to the ghost that your narcissist is different? Because that's literally what you're doing. You have put it in your mind that your narcissist is redeemable. You have put in your mind that you can, and it's the empath in you can fix your narcissist. You put it in your mind that if I can just talk them into therapy, it's not going to work. They've done this their whole life. Lee Hammond says that he's been in therapy for 9 years, never missing a therapy session. And he's still considered a self aware narcissist. So, what's the difference in your narcissist? Did they not follow the same pattern? At what point do you look at a tick and decide it's not a tick? Even though you're looking directly at a tick, you're staring at it. At what point do you decide it's not a tick? When it jumps on you and decides to begin to take what ticks take from you, when do you decide that it's not a tick? When it falls off, all bloated from what it took from you, and waits for somebody else to walk by and then jumps on the next person, at what point do you decide it's not a tick? I'm going to put this up there one more time. Send me those email addresses. Send me a DM. Get this. Somebody needs this. It's not costing you nothing. It's free. And if you're one of those people that say, well, it's free, so there's no value, go buy a course. I was with a covert narc. I healed, and finally, I'm sure I will see the red flag and get out. Well, BKF, thank you for adding that. There is, I guess, a return on investment for getting through this, for having dealt with the narcissist, as an empath, if you heal, and I can guarantee this, if you heal, you'll get the thing that I call the Spidey sense. You know how Spider Man can tell when there's enemies around him and stuff like that? You get that. You can be in a conversation with a narcissist for a few minutes and that red flag system actually works now. And it's not hypervigilance. See, there's a difference. There's hypervigilance when you just don't trust anyone. Once you see through their mask and once you understand what you've been dealing with, you don't trust anyone, and I get it. You wasn't prepared for this. But once you heal, it stops being hypervigilance, and it actually your nervous system acts as it should act, and you don't start pushing red flags down because you're in happy mode or you're being love bombed. Yes, the Knox nightmare, you're correct. You can't unsee it, but you've got to heal. You've got to heal. You don't get this. It just becomes hypervigilance. You just see a threat in everything. You do. I've been there. I understand it. Until I healed, everybody was a threat. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Oh, you said that. You're a narcissist. Oh, you're trying to gaslight me. Oh, you're trying to love bomb me. I didn't trust anyone. And thereby, for default, I didn't trust myself. I didn't. I didn't trust myself. Because again, the most dangerous thing that we lose in these dynamics is our identity. We lose that thing that makes us different, that thing that makes us special, that empath. You have been carrying around this empath like I'm a father, so that whole riding your children on your back where they're holding on, you're holding on to them for their life because you don't want them to fall, and you're walking around, you're walking them down the street and everything. And it's love. It's pure freaking love. Every time you put your child on your back, you just feel that love. It's a special feeling that parents get. But you've been carrying your empath like that for so many years. You have. And that's why you have to do the inner work. That's why it's so important that you let go of the fact that this person ever loved you, this person ever cared about you. And it can't. I know it's hard, but you have all the facts. I know it's hard. I know. I know it's not an easy thing to have to deal with. Even after you saw after the mask crumbled and fell, you saw it and you was like, "Oh my freaking God, Satan has been amongst us this whole time." After you saw that, there's still a little piece of you that feels, and it's the empath that feels that I can fix this. I've been helping people all my life. I've been fixing things all my life. I've been figuring out things on my own all my life, and I can fix this. You can't. You can't. I want to tell you that you can because I know that's what you want to hear. I know you want the person back that you saw in the beginning. I get that. I understand that. But the sooner you realize that that person was never there, Wante says that's why I stayed so long. Yeah, that's why we all stay so long because we want that person back. That's all we want. Through the devaluation, through the smear campaigns, through them triangulating us, through them saying the most hurtful things that we've heard in our life, through them weaponizing the things that strike at our heart. From them doing that, we still think that we can bring them back around to the person that we saw in the beginning. That person never existed. There's this guy on TikTok right now, and he looks just like Lawrence Fishburne. So he walks around in malls and stuff, and he wears the Morpheus jacket and the green tie and everything. He walks with his hands behind his back, and it's like one of those things where it's just watching the reaction on people's faces, because people are looking in disbelief. But deep down inside, they know that's not Morpheus, at least not the character Morpheus. It might be Lawrence Fishburne, but Lawrence Fishburne isn't Morpheus. Lawrence Fishburne is not Morpheus. And we know that. Your narcissist isn't the person that they portray. They're not. They never were. And BKF says it's excruciating but worth it. We have to be able to trust ourselves. At the core, you do. You're right, BKF, and thank you for putting that there. At the core, you've got to trust yourself. And what do you need to do to trust yourself? Here we are back at the front of the ranch. You have to believe what you experienced. Because I'm going to tell you, for 98% of all empaths, that's the problem. We're still making excuses for the demon. We're still rewriting history. And I say, I mean, history with a hard history is because we lived through it. We experienced it. No matter how much the narcissist tells you, oh, you're just imagining, oh, you're too sensitive, oh, you're too emotional, that's lies. How is it being too emotional to want to discuss with your partner how you feel? And understand you don't need validation, is it is what it is. You're right, Wante. You're right. Well, what is so wrong about wanting to, hey, listen, we hit a bump in the road in our relationship. Let's sit down and talk about it. What how is that such a difficult request? How? We went over, I think it was Thursday or Friday night, we went over the five main archetypes of narcissists. And one thing that many people realize is the subterfuge goes so deep that there are five main archetypes. And what happens is sometimes when they see that you're catching on, this is what I mean, they're complete demons, the archetype will shift. They can go from a covert vulnerable to a arrogant narcissist. You know, they can go from a covert to a malignant narcissist. You know, anything to keep you off balance, anything to keep you from seeing what's going on. Thank you for joining, Amanda. I appreciate you. And Wante says arguments every time. Chaos is how they set the dinner table for supply. It is. Chaos is there. You know, like you set your table, you know, dishes and saucers and plates and knives and forks. Chaos is how they set the table. Chaos is on the menu for the day, whether you realize it or not. There's going to be some ish show, some fire drill that is going to be seemingly created out of thin air. Again, this is done on purpose. It's not done by accident. This disorder is not a disorder where they don't know what they're doing or there's another personality imposing themselves on top of their main personality. They know exactly what they're doing at all times. You know, they get bored. The shame starts bubbling up. They need to do something. And it seems regulating your emotions, getting you upset, getting you in fire drill mode seems to do that for them. It seems to do that for them. They love it. So you have to understand, again, part of what I try to tell people is you have to understand that A, you need to stop reacting. I had to learn the hard way to stop reacting. The way that I learned this is because I tried. I was trying to go gray rock for a little while. I really was. And what happened was I just couldn't take it anymore. And they got the reactive abuse out of me that they wanted. I just couldn't take it. So I started yelling back, going back and forth with them. And then for a brief second, I just like took an internal check of myself. What the hell are you doing? Why are you going back? But this person, they have no common sense. Why would you waste your time doing this? And just as I said that, I turned around and walked away, and my hand started itching as if I had been playing basketball with poison ivy for the last hour. I mean, literally, my hands, they were burning, itching. I was finding, you know, the alcohol To clean your hands, I was pouring like a half a bottle of that, it wouldn't stop itching. I was washing my hands. I was getting dish detergent. Thank you so much for the Go Popular. I appreciate you on it. I was getting I just couldn't stop. Hot water, cold water, it wouldn't stop itching. And it was about an hour. And then it started to slow down. And then I was like, I never want to go through this again. Because it was my nervous system. I was being pumped full of cortisol. Because I had allowed them to get a reaction. They didn't care. And from that moment, I said, you'll never get another reaction out of me again. Then you feel bad for reacting, so you end up giving them more power out of guilt, and the cycle continues. Yes, you're right, Amanda. It's true. It's true. This is their food group. Regulate my emotions for me. I don't know how to do it. So this is your main purpose, is to regulate the emotions of literally a child. You know, no contact is the only way, Amanda. But what if you have a business with them? What if you have kids with them? What if you have, you've got that kind of mixed in work thing going on? It's hard to go no contact. That's why I literally had to make a course called No Contact versus Controlled Access. This is the reality of it. So what if you met your narcissist at work and you're a VP of a department? You're going to quit your job? So you have to learn, because they're painting you as a crazy one anyway. So you have to learn controlled access. It's not as hard as you think. It's a little bit hard in the beginning, but it's not as hard as you think. No contact works if you can have that clean break. You guys don't have any property together. You guys don't have a business together. You guys don't work together. And you definitely don't have kids together. Clean break. Go get on a ship. Take a cruise. Well, don't take a cruise. Take a flight someplace. Go scratch a few things off your bucket list and just don't deal with them. Seriously. I mean, if you've got that capability, please go no contact and don't look back. But there is a way. If you've got children, if you've got a business, if you guys got property together, you have to learn controlled access. You do. I want you guys to get this free guide. I'm telling you guys, get it. It's the trauma bond self-check. Do it on your own. Just because it's free does not mean it is not valuable. Because I'm going to tell you something. If you base value on the fact that there's a price tag attached to it, I've got courses and I've got consults. So if you're one of those people, I got something for you too. The Narc's Nightmare says strong boundaries helps a lot when co-parenting and dealing with narc bosses. Yes, it does. This is why you have to always see what happens with the narcissist is they're going to take you down the yellow brick road. So something that actually should be simple, easy to figure out, they're going to layer it, okay? Because they're trying to figure out, remember, they did data mining. They know what gets under your skin. They already know this. They don't need any help with this, So, this is why I made a whole course, okay? So what happens is you go through this stage where there's so many different layers, okay? So if you're worried about the property, the job, or the business, or the kids, why would you answer anything or react to anything that has nothing to do with those things? Why would you find yourself drawn in? Why would you find yourself in a position where you're discussing that has nothing to do with what is actually important? The business, the property, the job, the kids. If it's not important, there's nothing written any place. There's no law that says that you have to interact with it. We tend to forget, and let me give you a gentle reminder. This is no longer your boyfriend. This is no longer your girlfriend. This is no longer your husband. This is no longer your wife. So at what point are you supposed to bend over backwards for this person? How? And Amanda, I think you need to get that course because you said they push when you are in chaos. They can push. Okay, so let me put it this way. If you live in a major metropolitan city, you've got like Wow Wow or Piggly Wiggly or 7-Eleven or whatever it's called. Okay. okay? And there's or a gas station. You got a gas station, I know you do. And there's always people out the gas station that I'll be back. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. So you have people that's outside, right? And maybe they have just one shoe and half a sock, and they have a bad habit of saying rude things, after asking for you to reach in your pocket and give them money. So sometimes I say, how much do you let that bother you? Do you bend down, tie up your sneakers and say, what did you say to me? Or do you go in the store and get what you need to get and then come out? And then if they say something else, you say whatever and get in your car and go home. What's stopping you from doing that with this person? What is literally stopping you from doing it? Controlled access is very important. See, what happens is they pull you into emotional chaos because you haven't completely let go. See, the person at the store, you have there's no attachment to, so they can't pull you out of shape. You have no attachment. There is nothing saying in the back of your mind, you know what, you've got a different half of sock on today, and I still care for you. That's not going on. It's not going on. So they don't hold space in your head, but the narcissist, they're still holding space in your head. If they can draw you into an argument that easily, they are still holding space in it. You're holding on to hope. You are holding on to hope. You have to stop losing control. When we do, they say something is still there. Yes, every mental health professional will tell you that. You are actually telling them you're still in my orbit. I'm still thinking about you. And it takes time. It's not easy. It's not easy. That's why I wrote a course about it, because it took me time. Okay. The things that I struggle with the most, I tend to turn into information that people can use. I think it's always important that I do that. I turn into information that people can actually utilize out the gate, because every course that I have, that means if I took the time to create the course, that means that I had a really tough time dealing with it. And I'm not ashamed to say it, because I got here. It's like taking a cross-country road trip for the first time and you get lost. You're panicking, you're anxious, GPS ain't working, you're thinking about movies like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you're like, God, I gotta get where I'm going. But you eventually get there. And that's the important part, is that you eventually get there. And that's why I do these lives, so I just let people understand you'll get there. Hold on one second. Let me put this up so people can get this free resource. Again, just hit the mail icon and send me a message, and I'll send you guys send your email. I'll send it to you via email after this live. Amanda says the depression and healing afterwards is more painful, it seems. Pain is relevant to the person experiencing. And as I learned in my time working in the ER, doctor actually told me, he was actually yelling at a patient when he said, but it made so much sense. Because I was an ortho tech in the ER. So I did CAS. I worked for the orthopedic department. And, this person was, screaming, crying. The charge nurse is coming in looking like, is everything all right? Because this person, they go hooting and hollering, and I'm holding the limb while the doc is putting on the stocking, and the guy is screaming. I'm like looking like this. I'm like, God, this guy's got lungs on him. And so the doc was like, he told me to put him down on the thing by the side of your bed where they put your trays at. He said, put the arm down there. And he looked at the guy. He was like, listen, I've been practicing medicine for the last 30 years. I have never lost a patient due to pain alone. Let me do this and the pain will pass. Valuable lesson. Get through this and the pain will pass. You will be so much happier once you get through the pain. We literally got the cast on this guy. He was whimpering a little bit. It hurts. You can't give me morphine or something. He's like, and I'm not making fun of him, But when we got the cast on, he was a totally different person. He was literally a totally different person. And that's what happens when you heal. You become a totally different person, not the person that you are now. And it hurts and it's sad. And there's nights when if you're still in the same house, you don't want to sleep in that bed. Like I said earlier, you go in the closet and you see something that you didn't throw away. You're like, damn. You're sitting up there just staring at it like a deer caught in headlights. So yeah, it hurts and it's painful. But what's the best case scenario? The best case scenario is that you actually heal. And Amanda's right, 100%. You are forced to learn boundaries and not people please. You're right. And that's a win within itself. Like I said, you're going to know. I'm not trying to sound metaphysical or anything, but there comes a stage in your healing when you're just going to know automatically, I need to fix the things within myself. You're just going to know it. And you're just going to sit down. You might watch a few YouTube videos. You might get into yoga or something like that. But you're just going to know instinctually, okay, I've gotten past this person. Now I've got to get past myself. And it's a real thing. It literally is a real thing because you have to come to the point where you understand yourself. Not so much trusting yourself, but understanding yourself. It's kind of hard to explain because I remember when it happened to me, I was like, why do I have to deal with this? Why do I have to go down memory lane and fix all of this stuff? But it's necessary, you know. And Wante says, I can actually taste my coffee and want everything. Yeah, that would be a bad day, with the narcissist when I really literally couldn't enjoy my coffee. That's been a thing with me since I've been like 6 years old. I think when I was in junior high school, I grew up in New York, so there used to be a truck across the housing complex that I lived in. There used to be a truck, and junior high school was right across the street, so I would stop by the truck and get my coffee and buttered roll, and then walk into school. Oh God, it was crazy. Looking back, it's like this is why I have half of the problems I have now. I think I started drinking coffee when I was like 4 years old. My grandfather gave me like a teaspoon of coffee with a whole bunch of condensed milk, and he said, "Okay, but you gotta sit down. You can have coffee with me. You want to be a big man? Sit down and have your coffee. You need some toast." Told my grandfather, "Bring Butchie some toast." So, but yeah, I mean, the things that we gain once we accept the fact that this was an illusion, you know, when we accept it, that's why it's so important. I think that's why I've been talking about this in different formats for the last 2 weeks because I came to realize I was like, doesn't move. I looked at myself and I was like, nothing moved. Nothing moved until I decided this was a demon. It's like you ever watch the news and see people that have like pet panthers and pet tigers like in the inner city, and it's like, are you stupid? People that have full grown pet alligators, like, are you stupid? You know, it's the same thing with having narcissists. We're literally cohabitating with something that is so dangerous to us, and we just don't realize it. We're not Common sense is trying to kick in, but we're ignoring it because we're feeling seen. We're sitting up there saying to ourselves, "Somebody finally gets me," and I get it. Sometimes for many of us, depending on how your life is played out, for many of us, that's a super good feeling. But you shouldn't have to sell your soul to feel seen. You shouldn't have to sell your soul for an illusion, basically. If anybody has any questions, I am willing to answer them. I don't know everything, but I think I know a little bit. I put the services thing up. Like I said, you just have to send me an email, um, and I will send you after I get off of this live. I will email you the excuse me, the trauma bond self check worksheets. Um, Again, it's just to bring clarity. It's free. It really is literally free. I don't want you, I understand that thinking of, oh, it's free. How useful can it be? Yeah, I could have packaged it up as a course. I could have, but my goal is not to put everything behind a paywall or or to gatekeep information. Uh, because I went through this and a lot of stuff that like all the books that I write on narcissism. Do you know that I turned them? They're still on sale on Amazon. Excuse me. Ugh, long day. They're still on sale on Amazon. However, I tend to convert them into audiobooks and I make them free on my site. So all you have to do is click. 11 Labs serves it up. You can listen to it. It's free. If I the way I look at it is, if I can help someone get through this without jumping through all the hoops that I jump through, then I'm cool. I'm cool with that. Oh, thank you, Amanda. Thank you so much. So yeah, and I'm always doing what they call templates or worksheets, to help people. But like I said, if you're one of those people that's dead set it's not valuable unless you pay for it, please, I run a nonprofit. Spend away. Spend away, you know. Um, so yeah, and I do have quite a few good courses that again, when I sat down to make them, I like had to look at it. It's hard when you have no support system. People don't understand narcissism and the spiritual war. Mandy, you're right. They don't. They don't. I say this often. You got to go through this ish to actually understand it. You do. You have to go through it to understand it. There's no other way. Um, yeah. Good night. I gotta get out of here too. It's like 9:30. I gotta get out of here too. Again, I'm going to stick around for a couple of minutes. If everybody has a question, I'm going to put up this thing one more time so you can get the free resource. Well, but yeah, or you're gonna send me a direct message with your email. You don't have to put anything else there. I don't need to know, your phone number, address, any of that. Just give me your email address. I'll know that this is what you want, and I will send you the worksheet or the worksheets. And thank you, BKF. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. You know, I just want to make sure that people have the tools that they need, and I don't want them to think that there's a lot of creators that and I respect them, because they understand this. They've been through this, and they do a lot of consults and stuff. I think Nartassi told me like she brought it to my attention. I was like the cheapest person with consults. I charge $45, and there's people charging like 199, 200, 250. I'm like, damn, where did I go wrong? But I don't think it's the numerical value. It's just the fact that A, my time can be compensated, and B, once again, I'm given another opportunity to help someone get through this. So I think that's a win-win. So let me see if I can put this up one more time. Last call. If you guys got questions, I will answer them to the best of my ability. And yeah, so we'll put this up one more time. Thank you for the likes, Amanda. We'll put this up. I'm getting tired too. It's been a long day. This is like, I usually go twice a week. I mean, twice a day rather. But today is just like, it's just so much. You know, I think it's because I'm working on, the I'm gonna say docu series show, talk show, host show, real talk, no other way. That 90 days to bring it to Amazon Prime. I've given myself that goal. That goal by hook or crook, I'm going to get it done. That's what happens when you reclaim your identity because that was the person that I was before I met this person. I was goal driven. It wasn't uncommon for me to wake up on a Monday morning and say, you know what, I'm going to do this. Even I remember I used to like with my managers, I would set goals with them. They'd be like, it's going to be hard for you to do that. I can do that. And not working myself to death. It's just that it gave me excitement to go ahead and try to reach that goal. That's just how I was built. So it wasn't like I was setting myself up to be taken advantage of. I was like, oh, I can do that report in this amount of time, or I can get this done in this amount of time. Oh, I can build this in this amount of time. Trial by fire. That's what I used to call it, trial by fire. So if I came up with something, sometimes I would be just like, let's get it done. You know, it's like stretching the truth on your resume kind of thing. No, damn good well you don't know how to do that, but using it as stretching the truth on the resume because you really want this job. You're like, well, nobody's ever going to ask me that. And on the first day, what do you get? Trial by fire. So I think that's my first computer job. I really wanted to break into programming. I thought I wanted to be a hacker at one point. Just way too much math. And yeah, I got this job, and it was like, so did you put down that you know Linux? Huh? What's that? Who's Linux? I don't know that guy. Because the backbone of this stuff was based on a flavor of Linux. So I had to learn just enough to be able to actually get into my stuff that I needed to do through the day. But it felt good. It felt good learning it. I think I went home and I was looking at everything possible on YouTube to to learn Linux, and I think I actually got a. Was LinkedIn even around? I was doing something that did courses, So yeah, I mean, it's life. It's life, and we've got to get back to enjoying it. We really do. We really do have to get back to enjoying our lives. I mean, that's why we're chosen. That's why we're empaths, because we're meant to enjoy life. It's not meant to be painful for us, except this time with narcissists. It's painful. Anywho, I got to get out of here. Minister Robinson, uh, Church of Real Talk, a New Jersey nonprofit. Founder of the Now Movement, No Other Way But Forward. And the reason why I do everything that I do is I want you to stay powerful. I want you guys to keep healing. Okay. And the reason why I do everything, I think the whole team does it for this. Love you guys. Have a great night. Have an even greater Monday.